Warning: this video contains spoilers for all episodes of Maul-Shadowlord. Star Wars animation continues to impress with Maul-Shadowlord, but will the show's ships live up to expectations? Let's find out. I'm Joey from Radio Free Coruscant, and this is every ship and vehicle in Maul-Shadowlord. Episode 1. The Dark Revenge. The first ships we see in Shadowlord are a handful of airspeeders used to transport credits by one of Janix's crime syndicates. All are new for the series, and there does not appear to be any information available about them at this time, not even their names. I did wonder if the large speeder was a modified Imperial troop transport from The Mandalorian making its animation debut, but unless it has been modified nearly beyond recognition, it seems unlikely. It has very similar engines and a nearly identical octagonal cockpit on the roof, but it has rear and side doors not present on the ITT, as well as other added or missing components. It could be a highly modified ITT, but I think it is more likely to just be a similar model of ship by the same manufacturer. Let me know what you think. The raid this ship is involved in summons a pair of Janix Tactical Defense Force police airspeeders, which are again a new model created just for this show. One is destroyed, and the other chases the stolen bank truck to a rooftop rendezvous with Maul aboard his ship, a highly modified Commerce-class fighter transport. Likely the smaller third variant introduced in The Mandalorian, based on the design of its wing roots. This ship has had its long wings and fuselage trimmed down to better navigate the tight streets of Janix. I initially wondered if this might instead be a very rare unnamed model of Mandalorian transport, seen only in one episode of The Clone Wars Season 7, which was also a shortened version of the Commerce, but later episodes give a better look at the ship and show that it is definitely just a Commerce with the nose cut off. After the title card, numerous land speeders can be seen on the ground floor of Janix, but like most of the background ships in Shadowlord, these are either new designs or reused from other scenes where they were similarly identifiable. I can't quite tell. Later, Crime Lord Vario is chased by Maul's gang in another new model of land speeder, and no other identifiable ships can be seen for the rest of the episode. Episode 2. Sinister Schemes. Other than Maul's ships we saw in the previous episode, the first ship in Episode 2 is a small, droid-piloted garbage collection vehicle which is commandeered by Two Boots. No other new ships are seen until much later in the episode, when some manner of light or medium freighter used by Pike Syndicate smugglers is hijacked by Maul's droid Spybot. As usual, absolutely nothing is known about this ship, but I hope we learn more about it soon because its design is really cool. Episode 3. Whispers in the Unknown. No new ships are seen in Episode 3 as far as I can tell, but the Janix police speeder gets plenty of attention. Episode 4. Pride and Vengeance. Episode 4 opens on an as-yet unnamed model of freighter first seen in The Bad Batch Season 3. It kind of reminds me of the Gallifrey Yard's HCT 2001 Dragonboat-class Ryugo 905 freighter, but is still quite a bit different. Perhaps it is a different model of HCT series freighter by Gallifrey Yards. This ship is the only new ship for most of the rest of the episode until the very end, when an Imperial Star Destroyer arrives over Janix. Episode 5. Inquisition. Picking up exactly where the last episode left off, the Star Destroyer dispatches a dozen or so low-altitude assault transport infantry gunships. Two of these escort a Rho-class transport shuttle to deploy a platoon of stormtroopers, and the rest patrol the skies across the city. Later, we get what I believe is our first look at the Janix hover train, unless I missed an appearance of it earlier. Episode 6. Night of the Hunted. While we see many LAATs and several speeders, we don't get any new ships or vehicles until around halfway through the episode, when we see a pair of all-terrain armored cannons, an early predecessor to the AT-ST introduced in the Bad Batch. Later, in the casino parking garage, we see a number of land or air speeders. Most of them are the usual unidentified models, but one of them kind of looks like the Mandalorian Eeko-Dio-class police speeder. I doubt it is, but we don't get a good enough look at the back of it to know for sure one way or the other. After that, we get a much more in-depth look at the Janix hover train, in the form of an absolutely spectacular lightsaber battle there. Episode 7. Call to Oblivion. Like the previous episode, there are no new ships in Episode 7 until around halfway through. This time, the new ship is the Scythe, a Phi-class shuttle used by the Inquisitorius, bringing in the 11th Brother as reinforcements. The Scythe is the only new ship in this episode, but towards the end we get a better look at Maul's Kammerk-class transport, where we can see the sawn-off nose I mentioned earlier. Episode 8. The Creeping Fear. There aren't too many new ships in this episode, but we do get a couple glimpses at the rear end of a rather interesting-looking smuggling ship. I don't recognize it, so it is probably new, but sadly we don't see the front or sides of the ship at any point, so it's hard to say. StarWars.com has been slacking in the behind-the-scenes department for Shadowlord for some reason, so there also isn't any concept art gallery or episode guide to look at for more info like there usually is, at least at the time of writing. After the new ship, we see another AT-AC at the police headquarters, as well as a couple of Imperial speeder bikes I don't recognize either. They kind of remind me of a cross between the CPH patrol speeder from Solo and the 614 AVA speeder bike from Rebels, but they are very clearly a new design distinct from either of those. Later, Devon steals a flashy land speeder from a hot rod garage. I believe we have already seen all of the vehicles present for the ensuing high-speed chase, including the speeder bikes, an LAAT, a garbage truck, and the usual Janix land speeders. Episode 9. Strange Allies. The penultimate episode of Shadowlord has very few ships in it, especially new ones. Most of them are just the usual LAATs, speeder bikes, and AT-ACs. One of which Maul dismantles in spectacular fashion. Much less cool is the tiny little sewer skiff our heroes use to escape, which is the only other vehicle in this episode, if you can even call it one. Episode 10. The Dark Lord. Like most episodes, the finale features several LAATs. It does add 2 new ships to the list, though. The first of these is Dryden Voss's ship, a brand new design that reminds me a little bit of a modern take on the X-70B Phantom stealth ship. It seems to be some manner of yacht, shuttle, or light freighter. The other is a Lambda-class T-4A shuttle, which I believe might be the first one we see use its main cannons in a mainstream Star Wars production. I'm sure there are plenty of times they fire them in the various video games, but I don't remember ever seeing it happen in any of the shows or movies. It's been a while since I saw Rebels, though, so I suppose it's possible it happened once or twice there. Finally, as what remains of the crew depart Janix, pursued by LAATs, we see a second Imperial Star Destroyer hovering over the city, presumably the Devastator. And that's every ship and vehicle in Maul Shadowlord. Please let me know which one was your favorite, and if you think I missed any. I would love to hear what you thought of the series in general as well. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal, and am very glad that Season 2 has already been announced and is presumably in production to be released this time next year. The story was very interesting, and the art style is quite possibly the best Star Wars has ever looked. I don't think it would work for every Star Wars animated series, but I do hope that future shows do something like it after Shadowlord is over. I also hope we'll get at least a 3rd season like the Bad Batch had, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. RFC, out.